Hello, my name is Joseph Blonsky, and today we are going to be going over a critique that I made over Saludos, Amigos and the Three Caballeros. Now, granted, I don't speak Spanish, so I'm going to be botching a lot of these words. Bear with me. Here we go. When we look at the Saludos, Amigos from 1942 and the Three Caballeros from 1944, it is clear that these films are more than just Disney entertainment. They're created during the World War II Good Neighbor Initiative, meant to strengthen ties between the United States and the Latin Americas. That political background shapes both their ambition and shortcomings. Saludos Amigos is the shorter, more compact film, just over 40 minutes. It seems like a series of animated travel sketches stitched together. And on one hand, that structure makes it easy to watch and even playful. Segments like Lake Titicaca or Aquarela do Brasil use Donald Duck as a lens for exploring South American settings. But that lens is limited. Often, Donald Duck's slapstick antics distract from the cultures being represented. The film leans more toward being a colorful travelogue than being a piece of real storytelling. That said, I think the fusion of live-action documentary footage with Disney's watercolor animation is visually striking and experimental for its time. Overall, I would give Saludos Amigos about 2.5 stars. However, it was interesting historically, but just not so satisfying as an art. The Three Caballeros, on the other hand, tries to be much bigger. It pairs Donald with Jose Carioca, the parrot from Brazil, and Panchito Pistoles, a rooster from Mexico. Together, they move through a whirlwind of music, surreal visuals, and cultural vignettes. And at its best, the film is dazzling. The Bahia sequence, for example, has dreamlike flow that borders on poetry. The fireworks-filled finale is so chaotic, it almost anticipates the psychedelic art of the 1960s. However, as every film has its lacks, this film also suffers from a weak script. Unfortunately, instead of building a coherent story, it just piles spectacle on spectacle of really ahead of its time animation and art. And Donald himself is reduced to almost entirely slapstick comedy, and frankly, some really uncomfortable lust-driven gags that undermine the film's charm. Thematically, both films aim to celebrate Latin American culture, but they also risk flattening those cultures into caricature. Jose and Panchito are meant to be cultural ambassadors, yet they can come across as more stereotypical and shaped for an American audience rather than just complex characters of their own cultures. In the end, I'd say The Three Caballeros is the more memorable of the two. It's visually adventurous, occasionally chaotic, and historically significant for Disney. I'd give it 3 stars, not in a masterpiece, but a film that does achieve genuine artistry in moments. Taken together, these films are fascinating as political and cultural artifacts. They show Disney experimenting with style and diplomacy, but they never quite reach the emotional depth or narrative strength that would make them outstanding works of cinema.